YouTube, me again, rambling time. And today I want to talk to you about how we actually change because it's something that on one level we all understand it, but on another level we don't understand it, right? It's one of those things is we know, but we actually don't know. And that's plagued me my whole life, if I'm going to be honest with you. So here's what I now want to say about if you're trying to create something you've never created before. And honestly, it does not matter in what sphere. This is why I always talk about life and business being, sorry about my nose, life and business being the same thing. Because how we do one thing is always how we do everything. And it's a weird concept to get your head around. But it is also incredibly helpful when we're trying to upskill, when we're trying to become a different version, shift our identities, as I like to refer to it. Because we have Larry the lizard, which is what I term your primal brain. That's got three things that he's really interested in, right? Staying away from pain, seeking out pleasure, and conserving energy. That's what he does. It's what that part of your brain is designed to do. And that's in conflict oftentimes with your prefrontal cortex, which I call your adult brain. So that's where we can make decisions and strategies and plan and really think about what it is that we want to have in this one beautiful life we all get to experience on this beautiful green planet. And what tends to happen if you're like me and you woke up to this whole thing later in your life, so you'd spent more decades practicing with Larry than you had with your adult brain, then it's a remarkable thing when you go to change yourself. Because if again, I am the most responsible person if you put me into a paid corporate role, even though I'm self-employed in that role. I have made over seven figures in that world. I have no problem telling you all I was one of the best program managers in telcos for billing, CRM, and middleware in my era. I was headhunted and flown all around the world, paid ridiculous sums of money to do that job over boys. And it's a very male dominated industry back then. It's not like it is now. There were very few females in the tech world. So how did it show up in the tech world? And how does it show up in my private life at that time? Anything personally that I wanted, that meant something to me, that tapped into my self-worth, my self-respect, my belief in who I was as a human, I always undervalued myself. I did not have a very good opinion of who I was. And that's a Larry the Lizard thing. That is what I'd learned through my childhood. That is what I'd learned through my teenage years. And obviously, it just was self-fulfilling. But when we're trying to create new things, and particularly in our older selves, so if you've been on the planet a few decades, you've had Larry running the show if you weren't aware that you own how you think. You own how you feel. You own the actions you take, and you get the results based on that. I'm 100% positive of that because that's how I changed everything in my life. That is what I'm continuing to do. That is my daily work in my club. That's what the work is, right? The work isn't necessarily show up on Instagram, show up and do strategies for launches, show up and do audience builds. That's part of it. But can you imagine if you're somebody who's used to letting yourself down, if you're somebody who doesn't have any self-discipline, if you're somebody who doesn't believe in the value that you have to offer to the world, how do you do any of those strategies? How do you execute? How do you stay in belief when Larry Lizard is telling you why you're doing this? It'll never work. It's not going to work. Nobody's going to talk to you. Nobody's going to buy from you. And all of that is why a lot of the business programs that maybe you've invested in before that haven't worked, they actually do work. The strategies are the strategies are the strategies. And I often giggle to myself because I'm like, if you're going into a business program and giving them 50 grand to teach you strategy, then no. And you haven't built the leadership muscle, it ain't going to work. As much as you want it to work, it won't work. And that's gut punches, right? That's not a nice thing for people to say or to hear. But I want you to hear me on this. It's not wasted money if you've done that because you have the strategy. Now we get to work on who you need to become. Because, like we said, Larry the lizard, he is all about keeping you safe. He's all about, I often talk about him on the rock, right? And he drags you back into the cave. He wants you to keep doing what you've always done. It's safe, it hasn't killed you, and you're surviving. But we don't want to survive anymore. We want to thrive. And by thriving, we have to embrace the fact that short-term pain is the pathway to long-term pleasure. That short-term discomfort is how we get the results we want. So we need to start using our prefrontal brain, our adult brain, so we can start making much better plans, much better decisions ahead of time. That's all it takes. How do we become self-disciplined? Well, I don't like to do anything in stupid big leaps because that sets us up for failure, right? So we take little bite chunks. So if you are somebody who wants to get fit and you've currently spent the last year sitting on the couch doing nothing, there's probably no way you're going to be able to willpower and muscle your way back to fitness. What we need to do is go, okay, I'm going to make a deal. I'm going to decide ahead of time. I'm going to spend 5 minutes 3 times a week exercising, 5 whole minutes. Now, part of your brain's going to go, that's not long enough, because that's this adult brain that knows what you're more capable of. But Larry's going to tell you those 5 minutes are going to kill you. Why would you do those 5 minutes? And whatever he's going to negotiate or give you an excuse for, we should know ahead of time because you already have done it before, right? And so by setting those 5 minutes, that becomes non-negotiable. And you diary that. In the club, I have a tool called the Prosperity Hour, and I teach you how to set up your week for success instead of perhaps repeating a week whereby you say you're going to do stuff, but it doesn't get done, which is a pattern we all sometimes fell into. And so that's part of it, is we put it in there and then we watch and we stay aware for all of the things. Little Larry is going to tell us when the deadline comes. But here's what we know. We know that our adult brain, our leadership, our desire to create something different is stronger now. We are a lot more aware of the thoughts and the feelings that we have in our body. We start to make the right choice. We understand that, yes, getting up, putting the shoes on, going for a run for a whole 5 minutes initially. And I say a whole 5 minutes because we're all thinking the same thing. That's balakalik. It's like when I start working with somebody who's never signed a client before, and I just set a goal, sign one client. And if you're selling a product that's, my membership is 247, right? It's 247 a month. It is nothing. But if my goal initially was to sign one person to make $247, your brain again is going to go, well, that's nothing. What's the point? Why am I even bothering? It's $247. What can I do with that? It's nothing. But the thing is one leads to two, leads to three, leads to four, leads to 50. 50 is my goal, right? That's my cutoff point because I can only really give 50 people my full attention, I feel, so they get value back. Same thing with your running. You start on 5 minutes. You'll go to 10, you'll go to 20, you'll go to 30. But here's the beautiful thing about 5 minutes. When you start the 5 minutes and you're in it, because you've managed to overcome, Larry, to get into it, your leadership capacity just grew because you did something you didn't think you could do and you'd had a history of not doing. It's like building a muscle. That muscle gets stronger. And then what you find is the 5 minutes actually becomes 10 minutes in the moment, even though you said you only had to do 5. And it's the same thing with everything. That's why we start teeny bite-sized chunks and we deal with all the hilarity that your brain's going to give you. That won't change anything. That's not going to help. That's pathetic, because it's not. It's how we get to the goals. It's that muscle growth we're looking for. And I think when you think about it in terms of, if I was to put you into the gym and I was to put you into a leg press machine and I was to put 200 kilos on that leg press machine and you haven't done any exercise for ages, you are not going to be able to move 200 kilos, right? It just won't. And if you even try, you're going to damage yourself. That's what I see too many people trying to do when they're trying to change their lives. It's a huge leap. No, We just put 10 kilos on and we start there and we build the muscle, we strengthen it. And that's all about building capacity, and capacity and capability are hand in hand. When you're trying to run or build a business you've never built before, even if you were to come and tell me, as some of my clients that I've worked with before have tried 3, 5 years and nothing's happened, it's because you've been trying. We haven't consistently built that discipline, that muscle, and sometimes the lizard hasn't actually been quietened down enough so that you understand it's the teeny tiny steps, the consistent, disciplined action, day on day on day, that builds the result you're looking for. And how I can always tell the difference between I'm trying as opposed to I'm doing is when I ask for clarity around the plan or a goal. And it's not the BHAG, big, hairy, audacious goal, because those goals I think everybody should have. Like one of my BHAGs, you all know, is to ride to Grand Prix, top of my sport, right? It is a big, hairy, audacious goal. There are so many things that can go wrong on that pathway because it's not just me and my body and my training and my knowledge and my skill. I rely on one of those things over there, those horses, and they have the same thing, right? But that's my BHAG. However, my short-term goal is simply to get to the next level or to get enough reps in a new movement so that it becomes part of his body, my body, and we can do it effortlessly. And these things take time. They don't happen overnight. So that's how I know and that's how you can tell right now. Can you tell me what your BHAG is? This big, hairy. Do you want a seven-figure business? Is that really what you want? Do you want 1,000 clients? What do you want over here? And then what are you actively working on in the next 90 days or the next 6 months to get you to that big BHAG? And if you're blank, do not beat yourself up. That's just Larry Lizard because he's gotcha. Don't beat yourself up. There's no point in that. There's no value in that. That doesn't help you. That's exercising the wrong muscle. What you want to do is go, okay, take a deep breath. So I've been trying. Well, now it's time I got to work. Now it's time I build leadership. And I didn't understand that word. We call it personal development here. But I do get it now, right? We have to lead ourselves to become that version of us. So we have to grow that muscle. We have to build that skill. We have to overcome ourselves to become that next version. And that's where I found, for me personally, I had to get help. I couldn't do it alone because I was very much somebody who, if I had told somebody I would do something, I would get it done. Whereas if it was a promise to myself, then Larry the lizard, the little flaky boy, would come back into play. So that's why I have my club. My club is specifically to help you tell us ahead of time what you want to achieve, which then just puts that little bit of pressure on you to help you stay in momentum when you need it. You'll graduate. You won't need me forever. You won't need me. Some of you don't even need me for more than a few months, but it's just there so that it helps you in these early stages start to understand and build the muscle. But I think more importantly, manage your mind, manage the thoughts you think that are unconscious, make them conscious so we make better decisions. And also understand that if it's business building specifically you want help with, because I'm a coach, I help every part of your life get better. And for those of you who ride horses, I even help the horse side, right? Because we both know that's a freaking roller coaster of immense pressure. But what we do is we just keep working on that level of awareness, because when we have that level of awareness, we then understand that time is our most precious commodity, not money, time, because we cannot get that from anywhere. And so then we want to start thinking, if there were 24 hours in the day and they were 24 diamonds, what would I be doing with them? How would I be spending them? And that's when you understand you're not going to, it's the everlasting scroll, which I call buffering. You're going to look at that and not do that. The YouTubing, you're going to think about that before you do it. The cleaning, right? I.e., you're going to start to learn to prioritize. And that's what I've got all of these tools for, because we need tools like that to guide us, to help us, to make us understand what's really at stake and make it more important. Get that discipline to be something that is pleasurable instead of something that right now we equate with pain. I could waffle on about this stuff forever. That's why I created these rambles because it's my messy middle. It's me trying to get in front of a lot more people because I want to help a lot more of you. So if this was something that you stayed and you're still listening to me, give me a thumbs up because I love that. I love to see that somebody may have heard something that resonated and got you into an action or had just sparked a different way of thinking or had you just think to yourself, oh, I see Larry. Let me work on him. That would bring me joy. And if you really like these, subscribe because, of course, that's always interesting. My own personal goal for the next 6 months is to build this channel, is to do this more regularly, is to get more visible, is to help more people because me helping you achieve your dream helps me achieve mine. So it's very much a relationship, and I never want to be that big that I do not know who I work with. And I think that that sometimes is what can happen, but this work is my life's work because of the transformation and the changes I made, and I know what's possible and what is out there. And if you're where I was, I want you to be where I am now, knowing I'm going to go even further. But it's just such a delightful place to be building capability, turning it into capacity. You know, I have a little thing, I was just looking up there and it says, don't be upset by the results you didn't get for the work you didn't do. And that's just a little Larry Lizard, the reminder that this won't grow if I don't keep asking you to subscribe. This won't grow if I don't ask you to leave a comment. This won't grow if I don't show up. This won't grow if I don't keep flexing my leadership muscle. This won't grow if I don't keep making right decisions to help me build. This won't grow if I stay in Larry's land and just let everything be wishy-washy and not improve. So that's the end of this ramble because I could keep rambling. I hope you enjoyed it. Like I said, please subscribe. Please give me a thumbs up. Feel free to leave a message. If you are interested in the BFF Club, then come and talk to me. I have open free consult calls. You can usually get into my diary quite easily. Let's have a chit chat. I will talk to you about my club. Of course, I'm going to, but there will be no sales pressure. I'm not going to keep you on. I'm going to grab your credit card from you because coaching always has to be your decision first and foremost because it's the hardest thing you'll ever do. And I don't want to convince you of that. I need that to be your idea. So chat to me. I'm always open. I love talking to people about their lives and businesses. And I will see you in the next one. Take care, everybody.